Hi, everyone. May I just remind you to please state your name and outlet before you ask a question? And let's begin. Bianca, are you excited to be back at Indian Wells, and how is it being back here?
Yeah, I definitely am. Being a past champion, coming back to, that tournament is always a good feeling. I have amazing memories here. It's one of my favorite tournaments, so I'm very excited.
Any questions? Please raise your hand. Would anybody like to ask a question? Steph Miles, go ahead.
Hi there, it's Stephanie Miles from Open Court. Hi, Bianca. When you won the U.S. Open 2 years ago, you went through some things after that, and now that there are two teenagers who got to the final this year, from the wisdom of your mature 21 years, what's your best advice to them for navigating those changes, whether it's your former low-key life blowing up or going from hunter to hunted? And the second thing is, what do you know now that you wish you'd known back then before all this happened?
The advice I would give is to always remain grateful, even if you're having, the hugest successes, because it can all be taken away from you in, a split second. For me, it was being injured right after, well, like, 2 months after. And that was really hard for me. I feel like I didn't savor it as much. That's one thing I learned now that I wish I did back then. Um, don't let it go too much in your head. Stay confident, obviously, but don't become stuck up or, I want a grand slam, so look at me. Just stay humble. Yeah, stay humble, remain grateful, and continue to work hard because everyone says, at least in my experience, it's easy to get to the top, but staying at the top is what is the hardest part.
Thank you. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Next question for Ben Rothenberg.
Bianca, good to see you. Congratulations on what's been the longest defense of any title probably in WTA Tour history for one title. I'm curious. I'm working on a story about the overlap of tennis and betting and gambling interests, which I know a lot of players see on the social media side of things after losses and things like that. And I'm wondering, for you, how you sort of came to learn about that pattern in your own career and in your own phone and your own life, and what you sort of make of that intersection between the sport and gambling, because they're getting sort of more closely partnered in some aspects of the sport nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, I've always gotten messages about, even on Facebook especially, which I stopped looking at because it distracts me fully. And those people are usually the haters that tell you to F off and all that negative stuff. So I tried to stay away from that. But before, I'd always get it. And I'm sure I still do. I just stay away from it. Um, but basically, you have to realize that it's part of the sport and you have to see how you deal with it. And for me, that's just getting away from it. And I know that it's becoming bigger and bigger. Even some of my friends, they bet on other sports, they bet on tennis. Um, but obviously, if you can stay away from that, especially, if that person is telling you, look, I'll give you $10,000 if you double fault on the first point, that stuff can get into your head. So just, report that, stay away from it because it can really mess you up.
It's part of the sport, I guess. You kind of are resigned to thinking that there's no getting rid of it. It's just something you have to manage, and it's always going to be there.
Yeah,
Or do you think there could
basically.
be a fix? Yeah.
Uh, it brings a lot of money to people and to just betting in general, and it's a huge thing worldwide. Um, but for sure, you have to learn how to deal with it. That's yeah, the only thing I can say.
Thank you.
Next question for Vani.
Hello, Bianca. Vani Gibertini with tennis.com. You haven't been working with Sven for a long time, but I was wondering if you could tell us what is the biggest impact that you feel he has had on your tennis?
I think the biggest impact is the experience he has in the game. He's really taught me a lot in that area. For example, winning a Grand Slam, how to react after that, even if it's 2 years later, how to bounce back through difficult times, because I've been having a difficult time. And sometimes I felt like I wasn't dealing with it in the best way. But I feel like I'm starting to get better in that area with the help of Sven and his experience. Um, More on the tennis side, I would say he really focuses on small details. And I've noticed in my practice, even in my matches, that that really makes a huge difference. And so if I can, continue to apply like the little things, I'm sure my game will become more complete and better than ever.
Thank you.
Next question for Chris Otto.
Hi, Bianca. Chris Otto with Tennis Now.
Hey.
It's been a good season for you. It feels like, you're back playing well. And obviously starting a new partnership with Sven is really important. I just wonder, what do you think is the most important thing you've gone through this year or maybe learned this year?
Can you say that last sentence? I didn't hear you.
Yeah, what would you say is the most important lesson or experience that you've had this year to kind of help you develop further?
There's a couple. I would say, because the main thing this year for me was to stop looking in the past, because that's what I was doing a lot, and that's what was really ruining me, I would say. Because I would always tell myself, oh, I want to play like I did back in 2019. Why aren't I playing like I used to? But then I really had to switch that mindset and start focusing in the present moment, because, past is the past. Even in the future, I'd really look into the future as well. So I just stopped that. And I told myself, look, live every moment like it's your last. And obviously, it doesn't come easy, because I still feel like my mind's all over the place, but I know it's getting better. And, with the help of meditation and a good team around me, that's definitely going to improve.
Thank you.
Next question for Reem.
Hi, Bianca. This is Rima Boulel from the National. Just to follow up on that, the focusing on the present and not thinking too much about the past, how difficult is it to do that when you come to a place where you had your big breakthrough and you're also defending points and all of that? How do you find the balance between the reality of the sport, where you defend titles and there's ranking and all that, and also applying the philosophy you just spoke about?
Yeah, good question. I think that looking back into the past in a positive way is actually beneficial. I was looking at it in a more negative way, because I was getting too down on myself, saying, oh, why, what if, and just having all these thoughts. But some things that I actually do is I go back to 2019, I watch videos of myself in that position, and I tried to feel the emotions that I felt back then. And for this tournament, I did the same thing a couple days ago. And I know Indian Wells, they posted a video of my best shots from the tournament. And just seeing that really brings me into a good place. And knowing that I won the tournament, it brings you in a really good place. That's all I can say. So it's just shifting from that negative way of thinking in the past to the positive.
Thank you.
And last question for Francisco.
Francisco Arcuri from ESPN. Hi, Bianca. I would like to ask you more about the meditation issue that you said. How did you introduce into it? It was Sven, and do you practice it every day during matches?
So my mom introduced it to me when I was very young. I was about 13. And ever since then, I kept building and building on it. At first, I hated it with all my heart because it took a lot of patience. And I had none of that. And it's still a work in progress because, for instance, like it's hard for me to, sit in one spot for like 30 minutes. So I tried to work around that and have a good 15 minutes every morning. At least I tried to do it every morning and every night. So I split it. And with building on that, it really shows in my matches because then I can really focus for a long period of time. And it's not only that beneficial, but it also helps me stay in the present moment and helps me navigate through my negative thoughts and just say to myself positive things and be grateful for everything that I have. It really helps me.
Thanks, everyone. We will now do TSN and RDS. Please exit the room.
I'm staying here? Okay.